Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Okay, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Matji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. How are you, Leela
I'm
Manjari
good.
Matji?
I'm good, Mataji. Nice to be with all of you again and read.
Yes.
So today we are doing chapter 4, Canto 4, chapter 1, text 8 through 14.
They're not very long purport. There's some of them are not, don't even have
Purport?
purports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
Sure,
not,
Mataji.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're not
thank you
long.
so much for sending out the schedule each week.
If it's too much, I can always edit the schedule, but I don't think, I don't know. I don't think
Yeah,
it will.
if there are short purports, we can read more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I start with the prayers?
Sure.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Narayanam Namaskritya, Devan Narottamam, Devim Sarasvatim Yasam, Tato Jayam Udirayat, Nashta Prayashu Abhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay, so I guess I can start.
Yeah. So I see Ruchi Mataji and Manasikanga Mataji on the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. I don't know if I should, it just says any available Matajis, so I could start and then somebody else can continue.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Text 8. Tushita nama te deva asan svayambhu vantare marichi mishra rishayo yagya sura ganeshvaraha. Translations and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hi.
Translation. During the time of Swayambhu Manu, these sons all became the demigods collectively named the Tushitas. Marichi became the head of the seven rishis, and Yagya became the king of the demigods, Indra. Purport. During the life of Swayambhu Manu, 6 kinds of living entities were generated from the demigods known as the Tushitas, from the sages headed by Marichi, and from descendants of Yagya, king of the demigods. And all of them expanded their progeny to observe the order of the Lord, to fill the universe with living entities. These 6 kinds of living entities are known as Manus, Devas, Manuputras, Amshavataras, Sureshvaras, and Rishis. Yagya, being the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became the leader of the demigods, Indra. And I'll do number 9 and then I'll stop there. Priyavrato tatana padau manu putrau mahaujasau tatputra pautra napitrinam anuvritam tad antaram. Translation. Swayambhuv Manu's two sons, Priyavatra and Uttanapad, became very powerful kings, and their sons and grandsons spread all over the three worlds during that period. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for reading. So maybe I can read 2 verses and see if other devotees wish to read. So text 10. Devahutim atatata kardama atmajanam manu tat sambandhi shruta prayam bhavata gadato mama. Translation. My dear son, Swayambhuva Manu handed over his very dear daughter Devahuti to Kardama Muni. I have already spoken to you about them, and you have heard about them almost in full. Text 11. Dakshaya Brahmaputraya Prasutim Bhagavan Muni Prayachadyat Krita Sargas Trilokyam Vitato Mahan. Translation. Swayambhuva Manu handed over his daughter Prasuti to the son of Brahma named Daksha, who was also one of the progenitors of the living entities. The descendants of Daksha are spread throughout the three worlds. Okay, anybody would like to continue reading? 12 onwards.
I will. 12. Ya Kardama Sutta Prokta Nava Brahmarsi Patnaya Dasam Prasuti Prasavam Prosya Mamnam Nibodame. Translation. You have already been informed about the 9 daughters of Kardamamuni, who were handed over to 9 different sages. I shall now describe the descendants of those 9 daughters. Please hear from me. Purport. The 3rd canto has already described how Kardamamuni begot 9 daughters in Devahuti, and how all the daughters were later handed over to great sages like Marichi, Atri, and Vashista. 13. Patni Marichis tu Kala Suve Gardamatmaja Kasyapam Purnimat Namcha Yayor Apuritam Jagat. Translation. Kardamamuni's daughter Kala, who was married to Maruchi, gave birth to 2 children whose names were Kasyapa and Purnima. Their descendants are spread all over the world. 14. Purnima-sutta Virajam Visvagam cha Paratapa Devakulyam Hare Pada Sachad Yabut Sarita Divaha. Translation. My dear Verdura, of the 2 sons, Kasyapa and Purnima begot 3 children, namely Viraja, Visvaga, and Devakulya. Of these three, Devakulya was the water which washed the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, and which later on transformed into the Ganges of the heavenly planets. Purport. Of the two sons, Kasyapa and Purnima, herein Purnima's descendants are described. An elaborate description of these descendants will be given in the sixth canto. It is also understood herein that Devakulya is the presiding deity of the river Ganges, which comes down from the heavenly planets to this planet and is accepted to be sanctified because it touched the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hari.
Wow, lovely.
I think that's it for today, is it not, Matji?
Yeah,
8 through 4.
that's it for today.
Um, I have one quick question. Maybe this is, I don't want to take everything literal. It says that the descendants of Daksha are spread throughout the three worlds. So am I to understand that the entire cosmic manifestation in this universe, has descendants of these entities, because the three worlds are the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems? I mean, I don't know if it's ever discussed anywhere else in the Bhagavatam, but I'm thinking that I know there are entities all over the cosmos, but I'm just wondering if specifically these descendants of Daksha are spread in other planetary systems.
Yes, Mataji, I would think so, because many of these are like sons of Brahma, and they were creating progeny. So, like for example, like they say that um, Diti and Aditi were uh, co-wives. They were sisters and co-wives of Kashyap Muni, and Diti gave birth to um, all the demons, and Aditi gave birth to all the demigods. So in some sense, like the demons and the demigods are half brothers.
Okay. Now these demigods known as the Tushitas, do you know what group of demigods this would be? Is this a special group?
No, I don't know much about like any of these names, except um, in the beginning we read about, yeah, in text 8. In text 8 is Tushitas, and yeah, text 8, like, yeah, I don't know the name of any of these uh, personalities who are described here. In text 9, they describe about Priyavrata and Uttanapada. Uttanapada is the father of Dhruv Maharaj. So
Okay.
I identify him as the father of Dhruva Maharaj. And in text 10, of course, we have Devahuti and Kardama Muni in text 10. In text 11, Daksha, he later on becomes the father-in-law of Lord Shiva. So throughout this canto, actually, we will have several chapters describing about his personality and his conflict uh, with Lord Shiva, and Sati, who is the daughter of Daksha, giving up her life by jumping into fire. So, so these I know, um, but I do not know like many other personalities who are described here.
Okay, Mataji, if I can ask one more thing. It says here, these 6 kinds of living entities are known as Manus, Devas. You might know this better than I, some of you, but Rishis, I understand, you know, Manuputras, Shavatars, Sureshvaras, etc. I don't know what kinds they're referring to. Should I look them up?
Sure, you can look them up, Mataji. I'm also not sure who they are.
Because this is very interesting. I mean, yeah. Okay, I'm going to just look it up on Google, because most of the time it gives detailed explanations of a lot of different things. So if
Mm-hmm.
I put that in there, let's see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I would think, come on. Hmm. You know what? I better put Manus uh, and then put ISKCON, because if I don't put ISKCON next to it, it gives me all kinds of crazy stuff. So hold on just a minute. Um, administer the Manus. Okay, just a moment. There's so many different things. The avatars of Manu, or Manvantara avatars, are listed as follows in Srimad Bhagavatam: Yagya, Vibhu, Sachasen, Hari, Vaikunta, Ajita, Vamana. So these are different living entities, yes, Mataji? You know, well, some Vaikunta, Vamana, not necessarily. Sarvabhaum, Rishabha, Visvaksane, Dharmasetu, Sudam, Yogesvara, and Bridabhanu. So these, okay, I'm not sure if they're all living entities.
Mm. I'm sure they are living entities, but I don't know like who they are.
Okay. During the life of Swayambhuv Manu, 6 kinds of living entities were generated. Oh yeah, we heard that already. Yeah, these are all living entities. Okay. So I'm sure they had many children, you know, to populate the universe. The Devas, I've heard of that, but I don't know who they are. I want to look that up also. I want to be able to at least
Devas
just,
are demigods. The demigods are also called as devas.
all demigods, or they're all called Devas.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, and Manuputras, let me look that up. Okay, so these are the different types of people, huh? But, you know, I was thinking it just popped in my head. Oh, just a moment. Manuputras ISKCON. Come on. Hmm. We've got plenty of time. That's why I'm not rushing here. Okay, these are all the Manus. It's got all the Manus listed here, but I'm not seeing Manuputras. I think maybe they came from these Manus. It's not clear to me. Let's see. Prituputra Swami. It's not giving me anything under Manuputras. Maybe I have to put a hyphen in order to make it work. I don't know. Let's try it. Well, so far I'm not finding anything for it. I'm sure it's somewhere in there, but I don't know where to look for it right now.
Mm.
The Shavatars. Let me look that up. At least if I get some of this, I'll understand. It makes sense. If I see these words again, I won't be confused. Because, it not being my language.
Mm-hmm.
John. It will come up again with my luck, and then I won't know how to explain it. All right, let me try it now. Avatar or Shavatar yoga. So the avatars, I would think, are the same thing. It sounds like it. It says here avatar or Shavatar. So these maybe are the avatars. Now, avatars would be incarnations of the
Yes.
Lord.
Yes.
Does that also mean they're the plenary portions? Is that the same?
Yes, Matji.
Okay.
Actually, I just.
All right, and then I'll look up these other ones. SURES. Okay, and then this raises another type of question for me. Okay, let me see what comes up for this. You know what? It's talking about different devotees named the Sureshvaras. Doesn't give me an explanation though of what it is so far. No, I'm not seeing any like definition or. You know what? Maybe I got to write it up a different way.
In the Veda base, Manuputra is all the sons of Manu. So there's one definition.
I haven't found the Sureshvaras yet. Marjorie,
Yes.
I have another type of question here.
Mhm.
Okay, Krishna created all the living entities, all the universes that exist. There are different types of living entities living on different planets. We call them alien, right? Aliens, but because they're not from here, they're not from Earth. But how come it doesn't name in the Vedas those types of living entities that are, very strange looking, and their eyes are different. Some of them, they've said, have different sexes. In other words, we have male and female, and then some of them have a third sex. I don't even know what that would be, but some are created like that. Some look uh, like half animal and half human, etc. Didn't Krishna create all of those beings too?
I'm sure maybe everything came from Krishna, but beyond that, like I do not have much information about the aliens.
The reason it came to my mind is because some of these, the progeny or the descendants here, were spread out throughout the three worlds, the descendants of Daksha. Well, do all of those beings look human? I know some do, that, they've said that there are beings on other planets that look just like us. But there are also other beings that, I don't know, they look insectoid. They look, I don't know, they look like lions. They're mixed. And I was just, I don't believe we can cross, you can mate with an animal and produce progeny with an animal. You know what I'm saying? It's just not something that's done. Now, I don't know, maybe it can be done on another planet. To have created all of these different types of beings that are out there. And I'm just curious, you don't think, are they ever described anywhere in the Vedas? Maybe I have to ask Guru Maharaj that kind of question too.
Anybody else would
Those
like
are
to
the
say something?
questions. Those were the types of questions I had. Um, when I look at this, and we're talking about all kinds of planets, all kinds of beings, all kinds of, and some of the progeny being spread all over the universe. So this would explain some of the beings that they say are existing, and they look exactly like human beings. And then there are some, and I know Prabhupada has said it, our different gurus have said it, there are different types of living entities living all over the universe. So maybe I shouldn't ask such a question, but I think it's legitimate. Since my husband's very interested in alien life, I want to be able to relate it back to Krishna if possible.
I just found another one of the ones that you were looking for in the database, and Prabhupada's talking about it during an initiation lecture, and he says Surusvara Sura means demigod and Ishvara, controller of the demigods, Lord Brahma. So in other words, I guess it's when Sura and Ishvara had children, or maybe one child, I don't know, it doesn't really say, but so it's the progeny of Sura and Ishvara, Lord Brahma. So I think it's just different, like, tribes of people. Manu Putras, children of Manu, you know.
But I've been thinking about this alien life, and supposedly there are beings existing all over the universes. And since we have descendants of Daksha spread throughout the three worlds, we know that in this universe, at least, that these, in the Vedas, it does describe that these descendants spread out, from in the upper planetary, middle, and lower planetary systems. However, there are beings all over the other universes, and Krishna had to have created all of them, but I'm just thinking he must have, I don't want to speculate, have created them all at once, because usually you can't mate with cross species. You can't have cross species mating. They would come out to be monsters. And, there are beings that look like reptiles. There are beings that look like, I don't even remember now all the different, some look like cats. I've heard so many different types of beings are out in different planetary systems. This is just in our galaxy. And Krishna must have created them in the beginning, is what I'm thinking. Because unless on different planetary systems there could be cross breeding, crossing the species. But that's not usual. That's not what comes about here on this planet, unless they turn out to be freaks or monsters or something. So anyway, I that does cross my mind. All these things, and if the Vedas should have all the answers, right? These are things I'd like to know, because they're things that come up in my mind. Oh, this, I heard that there are beings in the Orion system, and they look just like humans. Well, who knows if they could be the progeny of a Daksha. They could be the descendants of Daksha. Don't even know. So I won't speculate at this point. I better, that's something I'll have to ask Guru personally then. It must be a little bit too much. And it doesn't seem far-fetched to talk about those things, because, here we have this transcendental spiritual thinking, this consciousness where, beings become water, or they melt into a river, etc. So it's not so far-fetched to think, of these 8,400,000 species that were created all by Krishna, that all of those other beings that are not from Earth, he created them too, but they don't all look human. And like I said, some of them don't, they have three sexes. Some of them have man, woman, and then there's some other sex. I don't even know what it is. But it is just talked about.
Well, maybe Leela Mondry can comment on this, but I think every universe, isn't it, where Lord Brahma, he goes into meditation and he creates the beings. Mm-hmm. So it's quite possible that there's all these different beings Maybe they're not all going to look, human like us. I think that yeah, I think that, I mean, Leela Manjari, is that true? I mean, just
But that's also my understanding. It's limited to that. Like I don't have all the
details.
yeah, all the details. Yeah.
But Lo Brahma in each universe does go through that process, and
Yeah.
the outcomes could be all different than what we look like, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard that some of them are human and half lion, like Lord Nishringadev. Some of them look like cats. Some of them look like reptiles. They're called reptilians. And there's all kinds that people have had, supposedly even on Earth, have had encounters with these beings too. So that's why I'm just wondering. Um, yeah, maybe they were just when Lord Brahma, when they were created that way right from the get go, and they were not intended to be fully human or fully animal.
We've also heard that, Krishna comes even to he comes in, I don't know if it was this class or which class it was, but he will come like in different, of course, we know this, he comes in different forms, in different animal forms for the animal, um, species. So, I'm just wondering, I mean, we have the human form of Krishna. So is it understood that Krishna is appearing to them in forms quite like themselves if there's all these different mixed type beings? I'm just wondering if, Krishna appears to them in that form. He appears to us in the form of a human.
He told me, Guru Maharaj told me not to get so, what did he say to me? Don't get all caught up in the details or something. Did he say that? Because, when I asked that question about the Dham, the movable Dhams that are coming from Krishna Loka, do they superimpose upon like the Vrindavan in the material world? And he said, I don't know. You have to ask Krishna. He said, don't get caught up in all of that. So maybe I should just, but on the other hand, we're supposed to be able to answer all these types of questions. You know what I mean? So,
The type of questions that I like asking Guru Dev are ones that will help me in my devotional life. I, I, I think that like all these small details. I mean, I myself am not going to approach him on something like that because it does not have a bearing on my devotional life. And he's there to get us along on the path of our devotion. Mm, I'm not going to use him like an encyclopedia, and he did say like all these different details will come, we'll have access to all that information, as we progress along the path. So, I mean, our attention may even totally divert away from things that are not, um, so, you know, towards Krishna and Krishna Loka and the pure devotees there. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying it is very intriguing, but I don't know if he's going to get upset about something. I mean, that's just me. I'm just wondering if.
oh, I won't ask him. No way. I won't ask him that. I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to, steer you away. I mean, if you really have a deep desire to know that, then ask him. But I'm just saying myself, like, I reserve to ask him just mainly things that are going to help me along on my path.
Well, of course, that's obvious. I
Mhm.
just, these questions come up in my mind as I'm reading, that's all. Or
Mhm.
as even when I'm chanting, sometime it comes up.
Mhm.
So, okay.
I don't want to dissuade you. I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have talked.
No, no, no. I totally understand what you're saying. I think it's correct. It's correct. So, I just have to be careful with Guru Dave. I don't want him to flip out on me. He shouldn't, but he might tell me, don't ask such questions, or I don't know.
Mm. I
Don't
don't
ask.
know.
I don't know. Maybe he can chastise me in a personal letter.
Maybe that's the place to ask him. Yeah,
Yeah,
rather
maybe.
than on the Zoom.
Okay, well, those are all the questions that I had. But yeah, like you said, these are like tribes. They're like the different tribes. Absolutely. Um, and that's how the world came up. The Manus, Devas, Manuputras, etc., etc. That's and Rishis. And I didn't know that Yagya was the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, it came up earlier in the same chapter.
I must not have been focused. See, all these little some things I don't focus well on. Okay, and I need to learn to do that better. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much description in Srimad Bhagavatam. It seems like an endless ocean of information.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty fascinating. We have similarly in the Bible the 12 tribes of Israel and how they spread all over the world. They don't go into anything beyond that. They don't get into universes or anything like that. But yeah, so I'm gonna think this one over carefully if I should ask this kind of a question to Guru. Would that be the kind of a question, Leela Mandri, you could ask to Romapad Swami?
I mean, yes, but the general, like, I mean, there are so many different questions which people ask, but
Leave it to devotional service and service to the Lord and
yeah,
how.
usually, like, those are the kind of questions that, like, people are encouraged to ask. But, I have seen so many people ask so many different types of questions to my Guru Maharaj. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want my guru to blow up at me and tell me I'm stupid or something. But
Mm,
because he's, if he thinks it's stupid, he will definitely let you know in
mm.
some way, shape, or he
I
might
mean,
not say stupid.
they're not stupid, but like they're not directly influencing our devotional life.
Exactly.
That's all. Yeah.
That's But there are a lot of questions like that, that people want to know. I mean, as they're reading about the genealogy and different things,
Hmm.
like where do those beings on other planets, where do they fit here in this progeny? You know what I'm saying? That kind of
Hmm.
thing. Those
Hmm.
questions I think would come up
Hmm. Hmm.
if they're the type of person that knows that there are other beings on other planets. Like
Hmm.
my husband knows that. He always talks about that. And I try to relate it back to Krishna, and it's kind of hard to do it if I don't. I just tell him that Krishna created all the living entities, all of them.
Hmm.
So that's, and I just leave it at that, which I guess that's good enough.
Hmm.
I don't want to belabor this point. It's not that important.
Hmm. We never know because as we keep reading, somewhere else it may come up. But Today I tried to look up like some of those names from what we read, and there is mention of them like only once in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
for example, like that word Sureshwara. There is a
Hmm.
disciple of Prabhupada named Sureshwara, but other than that, like there is no other mention of that name anywhere in Srimad Bhagavatam. Like the entire search was empty, except for
Right.
one mention. Yeah.
I found one in an initiation lecture, and it says Surasvara. Prabhupada is answering a devotee, and he says Surasvara. Sura means demigod, and Ishvara, controller of the demigods, Lord Brahma. So so we got. I can continue reading if you want me to, but so yeah.
But in this context, I'm not sure if it is Lord Brahma because they are describing about the grandsons of Lord Brahma. So I can read so that we know or understand like what Prabhupada is talking about. But
Now, these Tushitas, they are particular demigods, right? From the sages headed by Marichi. I guess that's not important. Not a big deal. Okay, that's all and this would be a little bit tedious reading and not as much and not as much philosophical because we're talking about progeny, you know. So here we're not getting into heavy philosophy yet. Maybe tomorrow. I have something I have to read. Let's see if I understand it. Anyway, well, that's all I have. Would anybody else like to say anything? I don't know.
no, I'm good, Mataji.
Manasi Gangamati, are you done for the day?
No, you always ask very interesting questions, though. No, not I. No, I mean it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
I,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
There's nothing philosophical here. It's just
Hmm.
and then when like when we go to study, like people that study the Bible, they want to know all these different tribes, you know what I'm saying, and where they spread and
Hmm.
who's the descendant of who and blah blah blah. And maybe here it's just not, it's just not going to be important, you know.
Hmm.
So
So, um, I have a question for Leela Mandri. Devakulya is the presiding deity of the river Ganges. So, when I was in Mayapur, there was a celebration and they brought a deity. It was in a celebration of the Ganges and they had a deity on a crocodile. Is that Devakulya?
I'm not 100% sure, Mataji. Yeah. I I only know like how like Ganges came into the world. Like I have heard about it before. Is when remember the story of Bali Maharaj in Bhagavad.
Yes, about the three steps.
Yeah. So the third step, the second step, like he um like pierces through the universes,
Hmm.
and when his foot touches and pierces through the universe, then Ganges comes through, and because it touched the toe of Vamanadev, it's considered like extremely purifying because it touched the toes of the Supreme Lord.
Mm,
But other than that, like I have not heard about Devakulya.
thank you. What's the story? So I've heard that part, but my question is something about Lord Shiva too. I thought that it comes through his hair or something.
Yeah, actually, when she comes with so much force into the universe that the demigods become scared that the force of her water will destroy the universes if everything like gets submerged. Um, so what they say is like if if water is flowing at something uh, obstruct flow. I mean,
Could you repeat yourself? For some reason, I couldn't hear you. You
yeah,
were breaking up.
echo. Um, so because she was flowing with so much um force, she was coming with so much force into the universe. So they tell Lord Shiva to go and obstruct her path.
Oh.
She comes and lands on the head of Lord Shiva, which is like circles of hair and locks of hair.
Mm-hmm.
That's how like her force is subdued.
Subdued.
Yeah,
Okay.
imagine water going in circles and circles and circles.
Yeah.
It comes
Mm-hmm.
like its force is subdued. You have to correct, directly enter into the universe. So she touched the toes of Vamanadev, and then she falls into the mm, curls of Lord Shiva, and then
Mm.
comes into the universe.
Okay.
Mhm. And throughout scripture, and also like in practice, many people worship Mother Gandhi. She's extremely purifying.
Yeah, I remember we all went from the school down to the Ganges for that puja, and but we were told to go before, even go before the Ganges and everybody to bathe in the Ganges. And I went in, and I can't explain the experience. It was just the water had such an amazing different feel. It was not regular water by any means. It was it was beautiful. I mean, and it I don't know, it had this feel to it. I'm telling you, it was not normal water.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, actually, when my father passed away, like we went to Rishikesh, and there's the Ganges is flowing. But she was just coming down from the mountains. So
Hmm.
the flow of the water was so intense, like so rapid that like there like there were iron chains, so people could like hold on to those iron chains before they dip themselves into the waters.
Oh.
Mm. But then by the time she comes to Varanasi and those places, she's very calm.
Yeah, in Mayapur she was calm.
calm.
Yeah.
But near the Himalayas, like her flow is very intense.
Hmm. But it just had a interesting feel. I'm not talking about whether it had motion or not. The water itself was just amazing. It was different. I don't know. I can't explain it. But I knew I wasn't, I didn't even have any attachment to the Ganges at that point, with my name, whatever. But um, I don't know. I just was like, wow, this is, I guess, purifying.
Mm. Mm. And
Yeah, I
also
mean, yeah, we were told,
the force.
everybody needs to go down and bathe in the Ganges.
Mm.
And I don't know if it had more potency because of that specific date, um, and the puja and everything. But yeah, my experience.
Mm. Well, we had a very interesting class and discussion today. So maybe we can end for today and we'll resume tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad
Bye.
Bhagavatam ki jai,
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all.